What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we have the complete Sundered Doctrine Dungeon guide for dummies, showcasing every single mechanic of every single encounter, as well as tips, tricks, and loadout suggestions to help you guys beat this brand new dungeon just added into Destiny 2 within episode Heresy as fast and easy as possible. And so, let's get started. But just before we do, as you can imagine, beating the dungeon and then making an entire guide takes a lot of work, so if you guys do find this informative, please remember to support the video by liking and especially sharing. And the more you share it, the more you can help others. And if I can teach you an entire dungeon, I can teach you some other stuff in Destiny 2 as well, so make sure to subscribe. Alright, now, the first thing you will need to do is head down to the tower and talk to Ikora Rey. She's gonna have a specific quest that will let you gain access to this dungeon. And the dungeon is going to be on the throne world. Now, moving on from there, as you can see, you're going to start within the dungeon, and there's a little bit of traversal until you get to the first encounter. And as always, that means the obvious way leads to a dead end, and it's that weird ledge you actually need to jump on. But eventually you will find some adds, guys, with some subjugators, so make sure you take those guys down. Then you're going to head through down this way here, like through this little like hole in the wall, and you're gonna drop down this kind of crazy, almost like a maze right here, and that will lead you into this area here where you have even more adds. Now, once you take down these guys, it's not so obvious where to go. You actually need to squeeze through behind this little waterfall right here to then get to the start of the first encounter. And what you're going to find is a very strange beam going along this hallway, and if you touch this beam, you will start to take damage. But if you follow it, it will eventually be shining on a circle on the wall, and this circle will have 3 different symbols. Now, these symbols are essentially going to give you a lore snippet. So, in this first example right here, we see that the 3 symbols are the pyramid symbol, the stop symbol, and then the guardian symbol. So the pyramid ships stop the guardians. Fair enough. Then, when we start the encounter by rotating this first lens, you will see the symbols actually change, but one will be missing. Again, in this first example, we have a missing symbol, and then the worship symbol, and then the darkness symbol. So we might want to go and look for a hive symbol. The hive worship the darkness. That is the statement we're trying to make. But if you're not a lore aficionado, don't worry, because what you then have to do, whether you're reading the lore or doing the next step I'm going to say, is that you're going to have to find where these symbols are throughout this encounter. And there's 4 different rooms that offshoot from this central area. In each one of these rooms, there's going to be some scions, there's going to be a subjugator, and one of the rooms will have a truth speaker. If you kill the truth speaker flying grim, as you can see, it will just drop the exact symbol you're looking for. But again, in these 4 rooms, you want to kill all the adds, especially kill those subjugators. They're going to drop a lens. We'll talk about that in a sec. But also in this room is going to be another one of those circles with symbols. But this time, it only has 1 symbol. And so this is what you have to do. You send your team, 1 person to each different room trying to cover where are all the different symbols, find the truth speaker, kill him, find what symbol you need, and you go, oh, here's the hive symbol. We need to connect hive. So that is the next step. You need to actually create a beam that goes from that central area all the way over and hits that symbol that you're looking for. So the way to do that is with the lenses that these subjugators dropped. As you can see right here, you can go to these like lens objects. You can slot in your lens, or you can rotate these objects, right? And it's a pretty close between one or the other kind of situation. Like, you may fat finger this quite a few times. You're gonna rotate when you want to place, you're gonna place when you want to rotate. It's a little bit frustrating, but regardless, guys, you are going to always start from this middle area. As you can see, you have those like shootable darkness like trigger objects above the 3 lenses in the very center, and that's where the light is going to emit from. And then you are essentially connecting the different lenses. You are rotating them so that you are shining the light in a beam over to hit the symbol you're looking for, as you can see. Now, very importantly, when you're making these connections, all of the different lens receptacles that can rotate, well, if you actually look at their base, it has little red lines where they can actually point, right? So that is going to give you a huge indication of how to make these connections, right? You look, well, it's pointing over here and there's another lens that leads exactly into the room I want to go to. It's probably the right way to go. And once you properly connect all the different lenses and make the beam to the symbol you need, you will then see the text, "The pyramid accepts a truth," pop up in the corner of your screen. You've done the first step correctly. Now it will reset the symbols, and importantly, there will be 2 symbols missing. So a lot harder to, just know lore-wise what to put. You're probably gonna have to go and kill those truth speakers. Importantly, only one will spawn at a time. So kill the first truth speaker you find. That symbol is the one you need to connect first, right? Now, you do the same thing as normal. You go to all the different, rooms. You, as a team, collect those lenses from the subjugators. Almost always you will need 3 and sometimes 4 lenses to make these connections, right? So often you're going to be going back into the rooms you've already been in to kill more subjugators and get more lenses. Very importantly, if you pop out of your room for honestly not very long, all that crap will respawn, so you can just head right back in and nuke those subjugators. And I really do mean nuke. If you have anything that can, freeze them, especially suspend is unbelievably good. You'll see me a lot cast my Blade Fury Super in order to get those guys, certainly on contest mode right now, being able to deal with those guys, nuke them as fast as possible is very, very important because they will nuke you if you don't. But again, you're going to be killing those guys and collecting as many lenses as you need. All the while, you're going to be trying to find the truth speaker to find out which symbol you need to connect next. Remember, there's 4 rooms and 3 of you, so if no one finds them, it's that odd room out. Then you need to make that connection. So you're going to be rotating the directions you need to make those connections to the correct symbols. So again, you're going to have to do 2 for the second phase, and then you're going to have to do 3. And this one, again, it fully relies on those truth keepers. Kill one, connect that one, kill another one, connect that one. However, keep in mind that for this final phase, often things get a little bit more complicated when it comes to making these connections. Also, if you fail a connection, if you shine it the wrong way, if you rotate the wrong way, it can sometimes fail and it will actually despawn all of the different lenses, which is hugely problematic. So I would highly recommend, guys, make sure all of the different lenses are rotated correctly, and kind of the last one you're doing is the one from the middle. You're activating that last so that you have ample time to rotate everything and make sure everything's correct before you give it an actual go, and that way, again, it won't fail and despawn lenses. And guys, that is really it for the mechanics. Now, in terms of loadout recommendations, well, it's really all adds and subjugators. So we found machine guns. Honestly, I know it's a meme, but the Thunderlord performed very, very well. Again, suspend grenades. If you're playing a Titan, being able to consistently activate your Transcendence to get those suspending grenades as well is very, very good. Consecration, very, very good. Anything that can make sure that those subjugators aren't attacking you back and then can do a lot of damage to them is what you definitely want. But moving on from there, guys, off of the first encounter, you are going to traverse behind here, and then you're going to find yourself in quite the maze. However, within this maze is going to be our first secret chest. So what you need to do is find these 3 darkness objects. You're going to see me go to all 3 of them. I'm just going to show you the exact route I went. It is confusing. It is literally a maze, but once you shoot all 3 of them, guys, that will, as you can see, unlock the chest that will spawn in the kind of center of this maze that you can open up and get your rewards. Now, then you have to find your way out of the maze, and you do that by going up like this stairway here. You go, if you're like looking at where the chest spawned, it's on the right side, and then it looks like a dead end, but you actually drop down this rocky face right here, and that is going to lead to some more traversal sections. So you're going to continue forward. There's this like big open area right here, and you're actually going to head into this kind of passageway right here. Now, once you do, guys, you are then going to be presented with this kind of long hallway, but one of these indents actually has a hole that you can drop down, as you can see. When you drop down, you're going to be shot forward, so make sure you jump at the right time and don't fall to your death. Try to hit this other ledge right here. Now, once you hit this ledge, you're going to head the way you see in the background gameplay and then drop underneath to this kind of secret doorway, and then you're in Indiana Jones, apparently, because you have these giant spiky balls, these big boulders that are rolling down this hillside, and you need to jump into the divots in the corner back and forth to survive, as you can see, guys. Now, after that, you're going to, again, avoid more boulders as you make your way down this hallway, and eventually you will find yourself right here, and we have our introduction to the second encounter mechanics. Now, again, this isn't the second encounter, you're just unlocking the door to the second encounter, but you can see right here that you have two different lenses, and they are pointing to those like symbol wheels on the wall. Then you're going to slay out on enemies, but eventually you will see some wizards spawn, and they will actually drop some darkness objects, as you can see. When you pick them up, you will get heightened knowledge. Then you can simply keep killing ads, and eventually there's going to be more wizards. They're going to drop more stuff. You can pick them up, and then you get brimming knowledge. And then finally, you can pick up a third one of these objects, and it will give you overflowing knowledge. So essentially, it's one object, two object, three objects, and that is going to denote how many places the wheels rotate. So here's what that means. As you can see right here, there is a door, and this door has a symbol on the left and a symbol on the right. So in this case, it has the tower on the left, and it has like the Witch Queen symbol on the right. So what we need to do is have one of the symbols glowing as tower and one of the symbols glowing as the Witch Queen. So you plant in your knowledge, and as you can see, it will move the glowing symbol the amount of spaces that you planted the knowledge. So if I just have one knowledge, I have heightened knowledge, I put that in and it only moves one space. If I have two, I have brimming knowledge, then I put it in, it's going to move two spaces, right? It's very similar to the pale heart kind of little activity that pops up there when you're exploring, if you can remember. So get those two door symbols to glow, and then the door will open, and then we begin officially the second encounter. And oh boy, this one is a doozy, let me tell you. This is one of the more mechanically complex encounters I have ever seen. So the first thing we need to do is go over the layout of this arena, because it is very important. So taking a look down from where you put the rally flag, as you can see, there are four different like pillars that will display symbols. These four display pillars are very important. The next thing we have is four different symbol wheels. Again, there's one on the kind of far right, one in close near like the middle bridge, one on the other side of the bridge, and then one more to the far left that you can't really see until you drop down. So it's four display pillars and then four different wheels. All right, now when you have that in your mind, you want to drop down and begin the encounter, because here's what you're going to see. To go with the theme of four, there's also going to be four crazy darkness or dread shriekers that spawn as well. And then they are going to start looking at the wheels. So you can actually see like there's a beam of light, that orangey beam. It's going to come out of these like darkness shriekers, and it's going to literally point at a certain one of these wheels. And then it's going to spawn a certain kind of ad that corresponds with the symbol on these wheels. And that is an incredibly important part of these mechanics. So when you first start the encounter, very importantly, it will always go in the same order. It's always going to start looking at the leftmost wheel, then it's going to go one to the right, one more to the right, and then lastly it's going to end on the furthest right. And then after looking at all four of the wheels, it will lock in the furthest right wheel. So here's what I'm talking about, because I know that probably made no sense. As all this is happening, guys, as the different Shriekers are looking at the wheels, you're going to have the opportunity to change those wheels. And you do so with that knowledge that you get from the wizards. So 3 wizards are going to spawn, and then you can kill them, take their knowledge, and as you can see, you can interact with these wheels and get these symbols to change. Once again, the change is going to be a certain number of places over, going clockwise at first, based on how much knowledge. So if you just pick up 1 knowledge, you put it in, you don't touch anything else, it's going to go 1 over to the right, right? And that's going to be the new glowing symbol. If you picked up 3 knowledges and you have overflowing knowledge, you put it in, it's going to go 3 spaces over to the right, like clockwise. But you can actually shoot that darkness interactable object like above the wheel, and as you can see, it will actually change the rotation to counterclockwise. So this is all important because it determines, again, what symbols are going to be glowing when this wheel is looked at by the Shriekers. So when we first start, again, it goes from far left to far right. But the left one, like you can see, it doesn't even have a symbol because you've just started the encounter, right? And then after a little while, it's going to look at a different symbol wheel. Now, when is it going to change its gaze? Well, that depends on your Lockset progression that you see on the top middle of your screen. You can see it's an overall bar, but this bar is broken up into 4 different quadrants. So the bar is going to fill up in that first little chunk, that first quarter, and that's when the Shriekers are going to be looking at the leftmost one. As soon as it goes over that little bump into the second quarter, then it's going to shift its gaze over to the next wheel. So the first wheel is always nothing, like I said. The next wheel is always the knowledge symbol, and this spawns the wizards. And this is where things get interesting because, again, the symbol that's displayed determines what is spawned. So after the wizards spawn, and you kind of want to keep this because you need the wizards, then you have another wheel with nothing on it, and then you have the final rightmost wheel, guys. Now, importantly, this is the one that you can manipulate. The other ones you don't really have the time to, but this far right one, what you want to do is coordinate with your team and deposit the right amount of knowledge to change the symbol to the stop symbol. Because here's what's going on. When you get, again, knowledge is wizards, when you get the hive symbol, it's going to be ogres and big yellow bar ogres. They're hugely problematic. When you get commune, it's going to be spamming those seeking projectiles out of the Shriekers. But when you have stop, no ad spawn. So there you go. Like, you are good to go. And again, what you want to do is, upon first starting the encounter, head right over to that rightmost wheel after kind of spawning the wizards and give it as much knowledge as it needs. And in this case, it's 2 spaces away clockwise, so I deposit 1 knowledge and my teammate deposits the other one. And again, manipulate counterclockwise and clockwise depending what you need, because the stop symbol will always be 3 or less spaces away, either clockwise or counterclockwise. So you want to really aim for that stop symbol, and importantly, once the Shriekers looks at all 4 of these different wheels, then it will lock in whatever wheel is on the right, the rightest most wheel. And as you can see, then you will see that locked in symbol displayed on those pillars, like at the front of the arena. Then it's gonna do the same thing again. Like, this is the most confusing part, is like the exact rotation order of what wheels it's looking at. But it's gonna go left to right, and then it's going to lock in the right, and then it's going to start back on the left again, and it's going to go left to right. But this time, it already locked in the rightmost wheel. So now it's going to lock in the second rightmost wheel, aka this wheel right here. And then once it locks that in and whatever symbol was glowing is going to appear on that back wall in that second like pillar, it's going to do the same thing again. It's going to start on the left and it's going to spawn ads based on all the symbols displayed, and then it's going to lock in like the left wheel, right? One left of the middle bridge, not the leftmost, right? And then finally it's going to go do that same rotation, and in the end it's going to lock in that leftmost wheel. Now, I've emphasized this order so much because it's so important, because with that order in mind, your job is basically to get as many stop symbols as possible when it's doing this order. You do not want one of the wheels displaying a hive symbol that's going to spawn ogres when it gets looked at, because then that is a disaster. So again, you always start on the rightmost wheel, you put it to stop, and then you can start looking at other wheels. Like, you know it's going to start on the left, so maybe change that to stop. Change, if you can't quite, get the one on the left of the bridge to stop in time, you only have one, well, at least get it off ogres, right? Get it to commune, and then you can deal with these seeking projectiles a lot better than you can deal with these like boss ogres, right? So just go around, communicate with your team, and change the symbols mainly just off of those hive eyes, right? Away from the ogre spawns, and that is going to massively help you out. Now, it then comes the mechanic of damage. So we've talked about like manipulating the different objects, depositing the knowledge to get them away from ogres, to get them on stop if you can, to limit the amount of ads spawning, but how do you get into damage? Well, that is going to be by having the kill symbol. And this is very important. So if you have the kill or the stab symbol, when that wheel gets looked at, damage is going to begin. And so that means that you can begin damage extremely early. Like, technically, you could change that rightmost wheel that I'm telling you to manipulate first. You could change that to kill, and it's going to start the damage phase right away, but then it's going to end immediately. The length of the damage phase is determined by how many different symbols have been locked in, how many different symbols have been displayed at the front of the arena, right? So it's going to lock in a symbol on that rightmost pillar, then it's going to lock in one to the left, then it's going to lock in one to the left, and then if you can have the fourth symbol it locks in, which remember is the leftmost pillar, if you can have this leftmost pillar after all three other pillars have been locked in and their symbols are displayed up front as the kill symbol, then as you can see right here, you will get an extremely long damage phase. Now, I've heard that locking in the commune symbol, right, like the pyramid with the green beams shooting out of it, will make you do more damage, so consider incorporating that, but you'll have to deal with those seeking projectiles if you do lock in communes. Now, when you're actually in the damage, all four of those crazy shriekers are going to be opening up and closing again. So you want to be placing a well somewhere where you can look on the leftmost shriekers and the two on the right. And that's going to be because often the two on the right will like close at the same time. So then you have to shift over to the left, or the two on the left close, you have to shift over to the two on the right. So make sure you're somewhere where you can, like, if one closes, quickly pan over and start shooting another one. As for weapons that do a ton of damage, we had great success with linear fusion rifles. Remember guys, you have particle reconstruction as a seasonal artifact mod. That's going to make all of your linears do a ton of damage. And the sleeper simulant was absolutely chunking, but the damage phases are so long that I would highly recommend also using a sniper if you can. And then if you're on something like a Consecration Titan, use your abilities to deal with the ads, the wizards, and so on, and try to save your ammo for the damage phase, because this guy is a chunky boy. You are going to have to do a lot of damage to this boss in order to get this guy down. Now, if you aren't able to one phase him, which is, pretty likely, Then it will say that the boss puts up defenses and you have to do the mechanics again. It will start looking at those symbol wheels from the left over to the right. It'll start with a fresh slate and have to lock in the symbols all over again. And importantly, it will start spawning ads. Like if you've extended the damage phase enough, it will start spawning ads while damage is still open. So you can still damage this guy and ads are spawning. So you're then going to have to like maybe go off and start changing the symbols unless you want to be trying to do a damage phase and also the ogres are pressuring you. It's quite a lot. It really is. Now, that is actually it for the main mechanics of this encounter, but something very important to know, guys. It may happen where, you didn't think you had ogres and suddenly there's ogres. Like, what the heck? Who didn't put it on stop? Well, usually what happens there is that, as I said previously, when you first start, some of the wheels have no symbols, but after it goes through a full Lockset progression, it is then going to spawn random symbols for those wheels. So you need to go back and change them, usually off of ogre or whatever, to stop in order to prevent those ads from spawning. And again, with that leftmost one, that should eventually be kill, but you want to make sure, you're not completely ignoring that because it's the last one you have to interact with. It can still be ogres and it's still going to spawn ogres if that's what's displayed. So put it on stop until you get 3 things locked in and then go back to it and change it to kill. Guys, that is going to be it for the second encounter. And then we move on to the third encounter. However, to do so, you actually need to do something pretty weird. You need to shoot one of the eyeballs from the boss you just killed over to this divot in the very front center of the arena. As you can see right here, once you place the ball into the divot, again, this is similar to one of like the puzzles in the Pale Heart, then it will open the door and actually let you progress, guys. Now, moving on from there, you are going to continue forward and jump down this waterfall area. And after that, you're going to progress kind of through these hallways, guys, over to this open area here. There's going to start to be some ads. Simply take them out and keep ascending, as you can see. Then you're going to squeeze through this entrance right here, kind of where the bones are. And then you get into this area right here where we actually have a bit of a puzzle to actually unlock the final encounter. So, as you can see right here, there is like the blocked door that you can see, and above this door, you have a certain symbol that's displayed, but also there's another wheel below the door. So what you need to do is go and find the 2 symbols, like the one displayed above the door and the one displayed below the door on the wheels, and use the lenses to connect them. So for us, it was like the hive worm symbol on the bottom and then like the entrance kind of blood drop type symbol on the top, and you can see us making that connection. Now, what we actually had to do is have that hive symbol curving around like counterclockwise, and then the other symbol was heading clockwise. Additionally, in this room, we have our second secret chest. I actually went past it, but apparently it's going to be located right in here. So simply hop up in there and it should be there for you. Now, moving on from there, once you connect those symbols, rotate those lenses, and it's probably going to take you a few tries here, guys. I tried to show you the order we used, but it might be semi-randomized. Then you are going to get 2 after a little bit more traversal. I was going to say the final encounter, but actually you have something interesting here. You have a door that's opened via damage. That is going to come up, but after you go through there, guys, then you will get to the final encounter here. Alright, so what the heck do you do here? Well, importantly, we need to go over the layout of this arena. So, you have this central area where the boss is going to be. Like, as you can see, if you trigger the encounter, the boss and some ads start to spawn, and, well, they don't like you, so they're going to try to kill you. But you can then move to one separate area off to the right. As you can see, if you actually, like, stand on this object here, it goes down and allows you to continue forward into this rightmost room. And then to get back, you squeeze your way through this little hole right here. Then you can go over to the left, and that is opened up through the door that you have to shoot to keep open. And you really do have to shoot it. Like, if you just have a primary, you might get squished to death. You know, I was using a machine gun to keep that thing open. Fusion rifles and stuff like that are very good for keeping it open too. But yeah, you have to be aware of that. And again, that leads to another room to the left. And then a third kind of room is beneath this central encounter area. As you can see, there's another like space right here you need to know about. Now, there are symbol spawns in all three of those areas and the outermost central area, so in your journey to find the right symbols, you may go to some or all of those areas. So, with that layout in mind, here is what to do in the final encounter. When you start, what is going to happen is that you are going to see symbols displayed at the very front of the room. So the top symbol is always going to be missing, and essentially this is telling you two different stories. There is a story to the left and a story to the right. So going from top to bottom with just the leftmost symbols, in this example here, it is pyramid, the give symbol, and then the darkness symbol. And then on the right, the story that is telling is the hive symbol, the kill symbol, and the worm symbol. So you have the pyramid gives darkness, or you have hives kill the worms. In terms of the lore, the correct one would be the pyramid gives the darkness. Like, that is the truth, and the hives killing the worms, well, that is the lie in this scenario. Now, what does all that mean, and why are two of them glowing? Well, here's what you need to do. You need to, as always, line up the lenses by rotating them. Now, you don't have to place any like actual lenses in here, you can simply rotate them, but you need to have all three shining on a particular side. So the goal, if I was to try to get the leftmost side glowing, I'd need to make sure that the beam was shining on the pyramid symbol, the triangle symbol, like a beam was shining on the give symbol, and there's already a beam shining on the darkness symbol because it's already glowing at the start of this encounter, right? But do you want to do that? Because again, the point is to tell the truth from the lies. So again, in this situation, the lie is that the hive kill the worms. So you actually want to light up the lie. And I can't tell you every time what it's going to be because the symbols are randomized, but again, you want to discern which is the truth and which is the lie lore-wise, and then you want to rotate those lenses to shine on the three symbols all on one of those sides that is the lie. But in order to do that, there's some additional mechanics to know about. First of all, there is a truth speaker, and to be honest, we just completely ignored that guy. We were able to look and easily tell what is the truth, what is the lie, just based on the symbols. But I do believe that the truth speaker should give you like one of the symbols that's in the truth, and then you know which side is the lie, and henceforth which side you're going to try to light up. But again, we just ignored that guy. We just took one look and easily told which one was the truth and which one was the lie. Now, when you are trying to light up these symbols, there's some additional mechanics to know about. As you can see, a lot of these lenses are actually locked in place, and you have these like strand darkness objects tethering them, and you can't rotate them. But what you can actually do is kill these scions, these red bar scions, and as you can see, it will pop up like in the very top of your screen. You get a few seconds of a certain buff called Unwritten Empowerment, and then you're able to shoot these like strand tethered objects, and when you do, it's actually going to spawn threadlings, so watch out for that. But once you shoot all of the different like strand tethers to that lens, you can then activate that lens, and sometimes these strand tethers are actually going to be connected to a certain darkness object that you can shoot to like lower or heighten a pillar that will actually block the beam from hitting these symbols. Because, very importantly, remember, in the process of lighting up the three symbols that make the lie, you're going to have to unlight one of the truth symbols, because there's always a symbol lit on the truth side and a symbol lit on the lie side, right? So that does mean you're gonna have to find, you know, the one that's lit out of the three on the truth side, and then just turn the lens, like, you know, face it against a wall or wherever, just turn it away from that symbol. But once you've traversed all of the different corners of this arena and you have connected the beam to shine on the three symbols that represent the lie, then what you need to do is interact with this like lore wheel with all the symbols, all 6 symbols in the center of the arena. And when you do, then you will begin a damage phase. Now, importantly, guys, if you had the wrong one, like you accidentally lit up all 3 of the truth one, what's going to happen is that the entire room will start scorching and you'll take damage unless you hide behind these pillars to hide from that scorching effect. And then the boss's health will go down to half and then all the way back up. That's if you did the truth. If you did properly the lie, as you can see, the health will continue past the halfway point, and then the shield will be gone down and you can start damaging this boss. Now, this boss moves around a ton, and it's like a Scion boss, so get ready for a bunch of Strand BS, as you can see. But regardless, guys, the best strategy seems to be one person with a divinity. That is essentially going to provide a little bit of extra crit damage, but mainly it's going to provide that divinity cage, that bubble that will let the other 2 people using linear fusion rifles do significantly more damage. So again, stuff like the Sleeper Simulant is fantastic, but the Queensbreaker, if you got the brand new Catalyst, also absolutely cranks. And again, because of that divinity bubble, even though this Scion boss is moving all around, you can actually consistently hit your crits because of that larger crit zone. So that is definitely what I would recommend. And if you are not able to get the one phase, then the boss's shield is going to go back up. Importantly, that central lore wheel of symbols will actually change. It will spawn a new truth, a new lie. You need to figure out which one is which, and then light up, again, all 3 symbols, and make sure none of the symbols are lit up on the correct side. So light up the lie, make sure none of the symbols are lit up within the truth. And guys, that's going to be it for the mechanics within this encounter. Hopefully, after not too many phases, you'll be able to take this boss down, and when you do, congratulations, you have just beaten the Sundered Doctrine Dungeon. Guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.